Are you perfect or imperfect? Good or bad? If you want to think about it, I can give you a moment, if there are even answers to those questions, because how do we even begin to define those terms? I mean, what would it mean to be perfect in this life? What does imperfection look like? What does it mean to be good? Or what does it mean to be bad? Are you one thing or another? Perhaps to land just slightly somewhere right in the middle. It reminds me of the Austrian physicist Erwin Schrödinger. And he had a similar question, although not in terms of whether people are good or bad or perfect or imperfect, but instead whether an object can be in two states at once. And he had a famous thought experiment that started off as really a ridiculous response to an interpretation of quantum mechanics. Can an atom exist in two different states? Then Schrödinger took it one step further and introduced us to the famous Schrödinger's cat thought experiment. And it went something like this. Place a cat in a bunker with gunpowder that has a 50% chance of exploding in the next minute. After the minute is up, the cat is either dead or alive. But we don't know until we observe what happened. And until that observation happens, quantum mechanics would say that the cat is technically both dead and alive. But is that actually possible? Dead and alive, good and bad, perfect and imperfect. See, as we turn the pages of the Bible, we find that yes, humanity is ablaze with highs and lows, moments of faith and moments of doubt. And in the midst of all our imperfections, we find an abundance of grace from Jesus Christ. Now, this example of grace is found long before Jesus steps foot on this earth. In our reading today from Genesis 50, we find Joseph, who had been sold into slavery by his brothers, offer extraordinary grace. And again, our reading for today is from Genesis chapter 50, beginning with verse 15. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, "What if Joseph holds a grudge against us and pays us back for all the wrongs that we did to him?" So they sent word to Joseph saying, "Your father left these instructions before he died. This is what you're to say to Joseph. I ask you to forgive your brothers the sins and wrongs they committed in treating you so badly. Now please forgive the sins of the servants of the God of your father." When their message came to him, Joseph wept. His brothers then came and threw themselves down before him. "We are your slaves," they said. But Joseph said to them, "Do not be afraid. Am I in the place of God? You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Do not be afraid. Those are incredible words from someone who would have every right to be angry with his brothers. I mean, siblings are usually hard on one another, but to sell a sibling into slavery, that's something else altogether. And yet Joseph offers his brothers those words of assurance and grace. Now that phrase, "do not be afraid," is heard across the pages of the Bible. That no matter what mistakes we make in this life, no matter the many ways that we turn our backs on one another and to God, no matter how faithful or unfaithful we deem ourselves to be, that at the end of the day, it all depends on Jesus' faithfulness and love and grace. And all those things and more, well, they're overflowing and abundant. So we have nothing to fear, because Jesus' grace rises fresh on you each day. This is the promise given to us across the pages of the Bible. Do not be afraid. For the gift of grace and forgiveness is yours now and always.